Morning, guys.
Morning, sir.
Morning. Okay, ilan pa lang tayo? 16 pa lang tayo. Okay, let's wait for a minute. May VC ba kayo before this?
Wala pa naman po.
Wala. So this is your first VC. Okay. Baka tulog pa yung iba. All right. Let's have a short recap of our discussion last time. Ito, may Okay, by the way, before I forget, Josh, I need to talk to you right after our VC, maybe in the second VC, okay? Josh? Can you hear me, Josh? Okay, so I hope, okay, good. So, let's discuss our next topic for the third quarter. Actually, class late na tayo sa Math 5 because we're supposed to be in module 5. Pero, since this topic is quite easier compared before, kaya sana mag-advance na kayo, okay? And our topic is all about continuity of a function on an interval. So previously, we discussed continuity of a function on a given point or on a given number. Diba? That number is the value of x or specific value of x. Okay, so let's have a short recap. I forgot to discuss with you the summary of our discussion last time. Wait lang. Arrange ko lang tong chat box. Okay, so let's recall. Now, given a function can be categorized into two types, okay? Based on the behavior of the graph. Syempre, sa behavior tayo ng graph magbabase. Wait lang, magenta. Okay, here we go. So, function, when we say behavior of the graph, we're talking about the trend on the point or the trend of the points of the graph in the xy plane, okay? Or specifically, where it implies that we're talking about the function values of the given function, okay? Or the domain, the relationship between the domain and the range of the given function. So there are two types. We have the continuous and discontinuous. Kailan siya nagiging continuous? Okay, nagiging continuous siya when it satisfies the given three conditions. Wait lang, ayaw gumana ng Ken. Late na naman to. Ayun. Okay, so it satisfies for a function to be continuous, it should satisfy all of the conditions 1, 2, and 3. Ano nga ba yung condition 1, 2, and 3? Condition number 1, the function value is defined, or C is defined. When we say defined, we can find a specific real number for every C. Then there exists a specific value for F or F, okay? And condition number 2, the limit of F as X approaches C exists. All right? So dapat perfect niya to. Defined yung function value and the limit exists. Okay. Now, ang question dyan is, pag defined ba yung function value, automatically the limit of that function is existing? Yun yung tanong dun eh. Okay? Try to think about that. And condition number 3, 1 and 2 are equal. So the function value is equal to the limit value of the function f as x approaches c. Okay, so if you got these 3 perfectly, then you will have a continuous function. All right? Now, pag sinabing discontinuous naman, ano bang meron sa discontinuous? Ano ba? Pag sinabing discontinuous, at least one of them is or was not satisfied. All right? Pwedeng si number 1, si function value, pwedeng si limit, and pwedeng nag-i-exist yung or defined yung function value, nag-i-exist yung limit, pero they're not equal. Alright? So, either pwedeng ito, or pwedeng ito, or pwedeng ito. Ganyan. Basta mag-isa dyan, at least one of the conditions was not met, then it is discontinuous. And when we say discontinuous, there are two types. We have removable and essential. Alright? By the way, guys, nakikita nyo na yung presentation? Nakita na, no? And nababasa naman siguro yung, ano ba to? What color is this? Cyan ba to? Magenta. Okay, hindi marunong ng color, no? Okay, so we have removable and essential. When we say removable, the limit exists, but it's either the function value or the condition number 3 did not satisfy. Okay? And for essential naman, the limit does not exist, pero yung dalawa pwedeng masatisfy. Alright? Or either 1 lang or 3 lang yung nasatisfy niya. And for essential, we have two types. We have infinite. Okay, we have infinite. From the name itself, the limits of the limit of the function from the left or from the right are both infinity. It could be negative or positive, or it could be both positive or negative. Okay, basta nagkaroon ka ng infinity dyan, whatever the sign of the limit, okay, infinity limit, then that's under essential. And for the jump naman, the limits on both sides are existing, but they're not equal. Okay? The limits are not equal from both sides. Parang the limits at the left and right hand side of the given number exist, but they're not equal. So therefore, the limit does not exist. Okay? In the jump and infinite essential discontinuity. Nakuha yun, guys, ha? Tandaan yun. Okay. And here, we're going to, for our new lesson, we're going to define the continuity of a function on an interval. So, dati, at a certain number lang tayo ng x, which is c. Ngayon naman, lalakayan na natin yung range ng domain natin, ng x. So, instead of c, we will be using a range or an interval AB. Okay, where A is less than B. And of course, A and B are both real numbers. Okay, guys? Okay, so number 2, and by the way, kasi the limit, di ba? The limit talks about real numbers. Wala pa akong nababasa, wala pa akong nababasa or nababalitaan na they're talking about the relations or not a function. Okay, equations. So, baka may makaisip sa inyo na pwedeng gawa ng paraan or i-adapt yung definition ng limit with a twist dun sa relation, okay? Or not functions. Kasi limits are all in functions. Okay, number 2, recall on how to find the domain of a function algebraically. We already discussed this. And number 3, sketch the graph of function using graphing software. Wow. So may cheat sheet tayo, graphing software. To determine the domain and the range, ba to? The domain and continuity of a function graphically. So kailangan makita yung domain and continuity. And determine if a function is continuous everywhere or discontinuous. Now here, guys, the domain is very important because it tells us if the given or the trend of or the behavior of the points of the function is continuous or not. Okay, nakadepende sila lahat kay domain. Take note, the domain is the set of values of the independent variable. Kumbaga, kung walang domain, then there's nothing to discuss. Wala kang topic eh, di ba? Okay, wala kang specific basis or wala kang pag-uusapan, parang ganon. Okay? And determine if function is continuous or not. Ganon. So gagamit tayo ng graphing software to determine the continuity of a certain function. All right? Pero sa exam, wala to, syempre. Okay, it's just for checking. So, ayan. And we have lots of definitions here. Okay, number 1, When do we say that a certain function is continuous everywhere? So kahit saan merong point kang makikita. Wala kang mahanap na x or value ng x, which is c, wherein it doesn't have a value or the function value is undefined or ano ba? Or infinity. Parang ganon. Okay? Nakuha guys? Okay. So now sabi dito, a function f is continuous everywhere if ganyan. Take note, this is a converse. This is a conditional statement. Okay, one-sided conditional statement from left to right. So, pag sinabing continuous everywhere ba, anong gusto sabihin nun? It only means that f is continuous in the entire real number line, or which is from negative infinity to positive infinity. So which means, guys, from negative infinity to positive infinity, or whatever number you pick with that given range of domain, na pagsama yung domain in range. When we say range of domain, we're talking about the interval, okay? The possible values for the domain. You will always find a function value which is defined, okay? And if that is so, then that function is called continuous everywhere. Now, a very good example of this, sige na nga, parang hindi masyadong spoon feeding. Okay. Rainiel. Si Rainiel yung nabunot dito. Rainiel, give me an example of a function in general wherein it is continuous everywhere. Napakadali ng tanong. Kaya Rainiel pa na napunta. Oo, function eh.
X squared plus 7x minus 6.
I mean general, in general form.
General. What do you mean, sir?
Let's name a function that is continuous everywhere.
Quadratic function.
Okay, quadratic function. Or, pwede naman yun. Tama naman. That is also an answer to the question. What I mean is, what kind or type of function wherein whatever specific function you give to us, as long as it is under that type or kind, then it is always continuous everywhere. Pero tama naman, quadratic function is continuous everywhere. Or in short, the answer is, ano tawag dito? Polynomial function. Okay?
Okay.
Okay. Pero tama naman siya. And quadratic function is a polynomial function. Okay. That's correct. Okay. Mayroon pa bang ibang function, guys, na type of function in general, okay, wherein it is continuous everywhere? Meron pa ba?
Absolute value function.
Absolute value function. Okay, sino yun?
Carvajal po.
Oh, wow, Carvajal. Okay. Absolute value function. Quite interesting. Yeah, tama naman, di ba? Okay, tama naman siya. Rini-reverse lang niya yung line, di ba? Parang may specific portion dun sa line na rini-reverse niya yung direction ng graph. Okay, very good. Absolute value function. And we're talking about here the plane function, not a, tawag dito? Not a piecewise function. The composition of different functions. Okay, very good. And let's proceed to the next definition. I hope everything is okay with continuous everywhere. All right. The definition, I think, is very clear and direct. Okay, number 2, continuity in an open interval. Okay, actually, class, continuous everywhere is continuous in an open interval from negative infinity to positive infinity. Diba? Pareho lang naman sila dito eh. Pero mas general to kasi sobrang lawak ang scope niya. Kung baga sa atin ito Earth lang yung scope nito, ito universe na. Okay? Lahat na sinakop nito kasama yung mga alien or whatsoever. Okay? Kahit na mga non-living things, sinama na dito, lahat-lahat daw. Ito naman, may restriction sa value ng domain. There is an open interval. When we say open interval, there is a specific set of points, okay, range of points from point A to point B, exclusive with A and B, all right? That's open interval. And it is continuous in this interval if the function is continuous at every number between A and B. Okay, guys? So, lahat ng numbers inside or in between A and B, and this function f is continuous or defined, all right, within those values. Okay? And of course, hindi nakasama sa A and B kasi open lang siya. Hindi niya sinama. Okay? So, kumbaga, wala siyang boundary. Wala siyang boundary kasi infinite yung points na makukuha mo before from the right of A and from the left of B. Alright? Nakuha, guys? For example, hey, nakuha ba yun? For example, f is equal to x. Ay, pangit. y is equal to x. Sir, anong klaseng y yan? Ayan, y is equal to x and our interval is equal to 0, 1 bracket. Ayan, parenthesis dapat para open interval. Okay, 0, 1. So, y is equal to x is continuous in the given interval 0, 1. Kasi y is equal to x is continuous everywhere. Diba? All right, so it means, class, when a given function is continuous everywhere, then there are infinite number of open intervals that we can make or construct to form a continuity on an open interval function. Okay? Tandaan yun. Okay, next, definition. What do we mean by right-hand continuity? Okay, from the name itself, right hand. So a function f is continuous from the right, okay, from the name itself, right hand, from the right at a if the following three conditions are satisfied. So number one, f of a is defined, or the function value is defined. The limit of f of x exists as x approaches from the right. Okay, so yung pangalan niya ay naka-based kay condition number 2, yung limit. Okay, and look at this, guys. These conditions or definition is just like the definition or conditions for continuous function, diba? Continuous function. Iniba lang yung statement number 2 and 3. Ginawa lang siyang specific or one-sided limit lang yung ginamit sa kanya. Okay? And the other way, the other way to define, sir, what about the left? Ang tawag doon ay left-hand continuity. So same pa rin yung definition and condition, pero it's from the left of the number B. Okay? So dito, f is continuous from the left at B. If f of B is defined, the limit of f of x as x approaches B from the left exists, and their values are equal. Okay, guys? So which means that there is a chance that the limit of f of x as x approaches A from the left, dito sa right-hand side, na maging undefined siya. Pero right-hand continuity pa rin siya. Okay? It means that it is still continuous. Okay? From the right nga lang. Right? Napaka-specific niya. Okay? So hindi natin pinag-uusapan dito yung left-hand side ng graph. Alright? So, as well as the left-hand side. Same meaning, same concept. Okay? Questions? Guys? Wala? Okay. So, continuity on a closed interval. Ito na. Kanina may open interval tayo. Ngayon naman, closed interval. So, a function f is continuous on the closed interval AB, where A and B are inclusive, okay? Kasi closed. If the following three conditions are satisfied, of course, f is continuous in the open interval AB, and f is continuous from the right at A, and f is continuous from the left at B. So itong condition na to, ito yung left-hand continuity and right-hand continuity. So pinagsama-sama na natin sila. Okay? And it doesn't really matter if, walang sinabi, guys, kung equal yung value nitong 2 and 3. Walang sinabi, di ba? Basta sinabing continuous lang siya. So, continuity in a closed interval. Wait, pero dapat equal sila. Wait. Open the right of A. Yeah, dapat maging, no. We're not talking about the limit of a certain number. A and B pala to. Okay. So, we are talking about the the edge of the the boundary of the closed interval AB dito. Okay? So 2 and 3, A and B. Nakuha guys? Nahilo ako sa A and B. Okay. Nakuha yun Okay. So meron pa pala. Next, continuity in a half-open interval. Ito na, may half-open interval, may closed, may open interval. So again, the definition is very literal from the name of the concept is very literal from the given name of the definition. So a function f is continuous on the half-open interval like this, okay, if the following two conditions are satisfied. First condition, f is continuous in the open interval AB, so which means when it's closed or half-open, we are just considering the open interval of the given closed interval or half-open interval, diba? Gaya ng definition kanina. And f is continuous from the right at A. So from the right at A, we're going to start from the closed, okay? Actually, we're going to consider the closed value. I mean, a certain value of the variable x as long as it is included in the given interval. So boundary tayo, okay, si A. Nakuha guys, from the right of A. Ito naman, continuous on the half-open interval AB, where B is included. Same pa rin, continuous in the open interval AB and continuous from the left at B. Ito, from the left. Okay? Siyempre, hindi ka naman kukuha ng mga points from the right at B because those points were not included in the given interval, as well as here. We're not going to consider the left hand or the left hand part of A since wala namang mga values dito. May mga values dyan pero hindi siya included sa given domain. Diba? So, ganun lang yun. Okay? Nakuha guys. Ang dami, no? Ang daming definitions. So, tandaan yan. Lalabas yan sa long test for sure. Okay. Now, question. What do you call an interval which is half open? So, when you say half open, it's half closed. Guys, anybody? What do you call that interval? There is a specific name for that. Hey, tulog na ba? Again, my question. Hindi nyo alam? Okay, my question was, what do you call an interval which is half open or half closed? Kasi pareho lang naman sila. Walang may alam? 2 points sa long test. Ayan, nagsisearch na sa internet. 2 points sa long test. A jar? Wala? Okay, sige. Pending question. You can answer that anytime. Sige na, baka mag-search na kayo sa internet. The answer is clopen. Okay? Clopen. Di ba? Close and open. Clopen. Sabi mo sa inyo class, di ba? Sa mathematics, ang pangalan ay napaka-literal nila. Kasi we don't want to confuse everyone because the concepts already are very confusing kasi ang dami-dami nila. Kaya ginagawa siyang simple. Napaka-basic. Clopen. Di ba ang ganda? Wait lang. Magenta. Okay. Next, theorem. Theorem na to So we can use this in solving. Okay. And of course, the definition can also be used. Pero mas powerful yung theorem. If k is a real number, ayan, and continuous functions f and g at the value c, okay, then the following functions are also continuous at x is equal to c. Scalar multiple, malamang, di ba? When we multiply the function, it doesn't really affect the, it really affects the behavior in the values, but yung continuity niya hindi na-apektuhan. Okay? And the sum and difference of two functions, ganun din, continuous pa rin sila. And the product, continuous pa rin sila as long as continuous yung dalawang functions. And the quotient is also continuous as long as c is not equal to 0. So nagkakaroon na dito ng condition or restriction. Palagi naman, di ba? So when we write A over B, make sure to include always that B should not be equal to 0. Because if not, this is not a real number because it would be undefined. And undefined is not a number. It's just a description of the specific value of the number. Okay? Number. When we say number, it's not a real number. It is not, it's neither an imaginary. Wala lang, hindi lang siya nag-exist. Wala pa siyang proper definition and description. Okay? So let's have an example here. Sayang ng 2 points, no? Claw pen. Hindi nagbabasa, no? Okay, nakadepende lang sa module. Yung iba naman nakadepende sa teacher. Okay, so example number 1, determine among which of the given function is are continuous everywhere. So marami sila. So letter A muna tayo. Letter A, the function f of x is equal to this. Okay, guys, what kind of function is this?
Polynomial.
Okay, polynomial function. Kailangan pa ba natin i-discuss to? Sabi nga natin kanina, di ba? Polynomial functions are functions which are continuous everywhere. Ito yung the best pa example of a continuous polynomial. Okay, kahit anong ibigay mong polynomial function, it is always continuous everywhere. So therefore, its domain is from negative infinity to positive infinity. Pag nakakita kayo class na domain na ganito, malamang continuous everywhere na siya. Okay? Nakuha yan na. Alright. Lahat ng functions, polynomial functions I mean. And also the absolute value. Okay. Next, letter B. Determine among which of the given function, determine if this function is continuous or not. Continuous everywhere or not. Okay. Letter B, g of x is equal to the cube root of x squared minus 4. Now, it is a radical equation or radical function. I think the first thing that you need to ask yourself is this a function? Diba? If no, then don't deal with it anymore because we're not talking about functions. If it's a function, then that's the time that we need to resolve issues about this function. So, ano to? Is this continuous everywhere? Sabi ni JJ, true daw. Is this for letter B example? Okay, tingnan natin. Now, since it's radical, sir, now there's a chance that it becomes imaginary. Kasi radical, di ba? However, we need to check the index of the radical. The index of the radical, my God, 10 minutes na lang. Okay. The radical equation or function gives us an imaginary number or value when the index is even. Diba? Okay. Syempre, 0 is not part of it. Okay. By definition of radical function. Radical expression. However, in the index in the given function b is odd, which is cube. So therefore, we really don't care if the given radicand could be negative or positive or even 0. Wala tayong pakialam because those values could still have or could give us a real number function value pa rin, diba? So therefore, guys, walang restriction to. No restrictions. Tama ba, class? Kasi pag negative yan, negative cube root, let's say 1, it's negative 1. Positive, pag cube root of positive 1, that's 1. Positive cube root of cube root of 0 is 0. So, kahit anong value ipalit natin sa 1, negative 1, 1, it will still give us a real number function value. So therefore, there are no restrictions. And of course, when we say there are no restrictions, we're talking about the values of the domain, okay, the range of the domain. And since there are no restrictions, the set is or the domain is the set of all real numbers, or from negative infinity to positive infinity. Nakuha, guys? Nakuha ba? So, ang tatanungin mo lang, ano bang restriction ang pwede kong makuha dito? Pag wala kang nakuha, it is open, it is continuous everywhere, or it's open, di ba? Open to all values of x. Pag meron, yun, may restriction na siya, hindi na siya continuous. Okay? Okay. Letter C. Right. Now, is this continuous everywhere? V of x is equal to the absolute value of 3x plus 1. Now, what kind of function is this? This was already mentioned by... Sino nga ba yung kanina sumagot? Amina ba? Si Amina, di ba? Absolute value, correct. So therefore, sabi nga ni... Okay. Si Carvajal, sorry. Ulyanin, no? Okay. Carvajal said that absolute value function is a function which is continuous everywhere. So therefore, kailan pa ba natin mag-solve? Siyempre, you need to explain. All right? Now, there's no way that there will be an undefined function value in absolute value function. Number two, there will be no imaginary function value, whatever the value of x is. Therefore, this is continuous everywhere. So this is from negative infinity to positive infinity. Therefore, it's continuous everywhere. Paano mo nasabi, sir? Because of the definition. Ano nga ba yung definition natin? The function value exists or defined, is defined. Ano nga ba yung pangalawa? The limit of the function f as x approaches c to. C exists. And yung pangatlo ay, ano nga ba class yung pangatlo? F of c is equal to the limit of f of x as x approaches c. Tama, di ba? Tama ba ako? Class? Am I correct? Kalimutan ko. Yeah. Okay. So, continuous siya. Di ba? Continuous. Okay. Kasi walang restrictions. And by the way, class, okay, may naisip akong counter-example dun sa sinabi ni Carvajal. Although tama na yun sinabi niya. Not all absolute value functions are continuous everywhere. Sige. Sino makakaisip? Bakit may butas dun sa, or may loophole, may flaw dun sa sinabi ni Carvajal? Anyone? So therefore, mali pala yung statement na lahat ng absolute value function ay continuous everywhere. Bakit? Kasi kanina we're just talking a specific function, specific type of function, the ordinary type. Pero ngayon, as we go further, kailangan na natin i-generalize. Okay, bakit may mali, may flaw, may loophole doon sa sinabi ni Carvajal? Anyone? Plus 1 point. Ayaw sumagot eh. Gusto ata ng plus point. Okay, sabi ni Ivan, depende po sa nasa... What do you mean depende yung nasa loob, Ivan? Tama naman yon, Ivan. Okay, JJ is correct. Pag absolute value ng rational function. Okay, for example, guys, y is equal to the absolute value of 1 over x. Ayan. Di ba mayroon na siyang restriction? X is not equal to 0. But still, it is an absolute value function. Okay? Or, to be exact, it will always be true that the absolute value function is continuous everywhere if it is strictly a main, strictly an absolute value function only. Hindi siya rational absolute value function, mga ganyan. Kaya nasabi ko kanina kay Carvajal na tama naman siya. Kasi we're just talking about a very specific and simple functions here. Yung type lang muna. Wala pa tayong mga combinations. Okay? Tama naman. So, depende po sa nasa loob. So, Ivan is correct pero hindi siya straightforward. And JJ got it correctly. Kaso may question mark sa dulo. Hindi siya sure. So, JJ, will you get the point or what? May question mark eh. Okay, sige. 1 point for JJ. Wait, ilista ko lang. Long test 1. 3.1. Okay. Hindi rin. Okay. So we have, ayan, okay na siya ha. Now, how about class letter D? T of x is equal to 3 tangent x. Is this continuous everywhere or not? Ayan na, nagtitrigo na tayo, di ba? Okay, alam ko naman, hate nyo ang trigo ata. Kasi hindi tayo nakapag-discuss na maayos dito. Okay, so 3 tangent x means that well, let's just consider the trigonometric function tangent. Ay, y pala. So y is equal to tangent. Let's decompose the function. Tangent muna tayo. And tangent x is equal to, okay, sine over cosine x. Guys, kung hindi nyo pa masyadong naiintindihan or hindi pa kayo friend ni tangent x, i-simplify nyo siya. Okay? Express it in terms of the simplest trigonometric function, sine or cosine. So, eto na. Now, so ano ba? Ano bang, it is a type of rational function. Okay? A rational trigonometric function. And here, since denominator is cosine, therefore, there is a chance that the given function becomes undefined. So, we restrict that denominator should not be equal to 0. Tama ba? Tama guys, di ba? And what are the values of x? What are the values of the domain that would make this function tangent x undefined? Ano nga ba yung mga functions na yon? Those are functions, values na yon. Those are pi over 2, 3 pi over 2, ano pa? Bakit 3 to? 2 to. Ano pa guys? Plus pi, 5 pi over 2, and so on and so forth. Or we can express it in terms of those are all odd numbers. So, diba? So 2k plus 1 over 2 pi. So we can express our answers or our restrictions in terms of this. This is the general form. Okay? Or we can also put that in negative numbers. Pwede naman siya eh. Hindi natin to na-discuss nung grade 10 kayo. Okay, sayang. Okay. But by the way, guys, if you want to sit in with grade 10 today, since malapit ako mag-trigonometry, pwede nyong gawin yun para at least ma-refresh kayo. At least yun may discussion ng konti. Okay? So I hope hindi conflict yung schedule natin. Okay. So eto na yung magiging conditions natin. Since may condition na tayo, therefore, we are so sure that this is not true or it's not continuous everywhere. Okay? And what is the domain of this function class, tangent x? Ang domain nito ay magiging x is an element of real numbers such that x is an element of the set, what? 2k plus 1, 2 pi, hanggang 2k plus 3, 2 pi. Ayan, sorry, magulo. Ayan, ganyan. And it is an open interval